Donna Adlesen's dramatic reaction to being convicted of murder was the second time an Adlesen was convicted by a Tallahassee jury. 2 years before Donna, her son Charlie was convicted. Now all the attention of the public has turned to Wendy Adlesen, who won her custody battle after her mother and brother orchestrated the murder of her ex-husband, Dan Markell. But now the question is, will Wendy be next? Tonight, we take a look at some major developments that may give us that answer. But first, in the still darkness of August 23rd, a chilling tragedy unfolded at an Ohio campground. Authorities say Marcus and Ruth Miller, convinced God was commanding them, leapt into the lake to prove their faith. Hours later, Marcus returned to the water alone. By morning, Ruth placed her young son Vincent on a golf cart, drove him to the dock, and drowned him, claiming she was giving him to God. Later, she plunged a golf cart carrying her 3 teenage children into the lake. They escaped, but the act drew first responders who uncovered the horror. Ruth spoke in broken, unsettling phrases as deputies pieced together the truth. Vincent's body was recovered that evening, Marcus's the next morning, and what began as a desperate quest for divine affirmation ended in tragic death for a small child and his father.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And this story we're about to do is extremely sad. But we've seen things like it before in the past, and I want to go back in time. Remember Andrea Yates, who drowned her children? This was someone who was mentally ill. This is someone who was suffering. But when she drowned those children systematically, one at a time, as it turns out, she believed she was saving her children. And that was the testimony from the experts who evaluated her. And as a result, Andrea Yates was found not guilty, but not guilty by reason of insanity, despite the fact of what she did to her children. There was another case we covered on Court TV. Deanna Laney was her name. She didn't drown her children. She used rocks, and one by one systematically smashed the heads of her young children. The youngest survived, but was severely disabled afterwards. She went to trial as well. And once again, the testimony from the experts, getting into the mind of this killer, because she did kill her children, was that she believed that she was saving them from Satan and delivering those children to God by smashing their heads with a rock. And the jury agreed. Deanna Laney was found not guilty, but not guilty by reason of insanity. Well, now we get to this case. We've got Ruth Miller, who's accused of killing her son, just 4 years old, again by drowning. And again, the defense in this case will be that she was legally insane at the time. She could not understand or appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct. Basically not knowing the difference between right and wrong, and thinking you're doing something good when you're doing something bad. You think you are saving your child when you are killing your child. And that's what this trial will be about for her. Now, in most of these cases, and the ones in the past, it's up to the expert to do the forensic evaluation of the accused murderer, to get into her mind, to understand what she was thinking at the time. Well, in this case, it will happen like that, but there'll be something else that the jury will have an opportunity to see, because she was recorded at the scene. We now have body camera. So responding to the scene, you get to see and hear the defendant close in time to when the killing took place. And that's a big difference. To me, that's a huge difference. You'll still have your experts who will testify and do their evaluations. But in addition to that, the jury will be able to see and hear her on the day of the killing to understand what she was saying, what she was doing. So what we're going to do right now is play for you that video of the responding officers. What is Ruth Miller saying in the aftermath of taking the life of her 4-year-old son and attempting to take the lives of her other children? Let's watch.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you. And I doubted him. I doubted him so many times, but I am to tell you he is coming soon. He is coming very soon. Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you. Okay?
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband. And then you will believe. But ye of your little faith that did not believe before seeing.
Okay.
So send people down to the bottom of the lake looking for a fish. That has my husband.
How old's your son that's in the lake?
4. He's sweet. I love him. I gave him.
Okay. 7940 Central. We're out with the mother. She is advising that she threw her 4-year-old son in the lake to give him to God. Affirm.
But I wouldn't have believed you. So do you believe?
Awesome.
Okay. They are there. And you'll find them. And you'll find them. Please don't. It really does. But I saw miracles. I doubted him. And then pain came back to me. My husband and I both doubted him. And pain came back to me.
I need to know where your husband's at.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
He's in a fish.
Yes.
There's no fish large enough on an Atwood to swallow your husband.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
Okay.
I thought your husband went for a walk.
Yeah, and then we came to the boat, and his clothes were laying on the boat.
Okay.
Tan
Yeah.
pants and cream shirt and flip-flops.
Do you have a cell phone?
It's in the camper.
It's in the camper. Where's your camper at?
I think it's,
Area 3?
I think so. Yeah. It's like a tannish camper.
It's a tannish camper. You don't know what lot number it is?
No.
Well, we really need to verify your husband's still
Where?
with us.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, he's actually just go out in the bottom of the lake.
Well, I can't go in the bottom of the lake. So
Do you
we
have
need
scuba divers?
Yeah, we're gonna have to call divers in to go to the bottom of the lake.
Please do.
And you're saying
The best ones there are. Because this
So-
is a miracle from God. And you will see. You will see.
you're saying your 4-year-old son's down there too?
He's with God.
Where's his body at?
I don't know.
Where did you throw him in the water at?
Off of the dock at the causeway.
Where the bike was today?
Where the boat was?
Yeah, where the boat.
Okay.
Please believe me. I know.
When they're supposed to be ones coming out there.
I think there was one.
Does anybody have a glass of water?
We can get you water.
Please.
What's up?
Thank you.
We're right now we're gonna walk up to the squad, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're gonna put you in the back of the squad.
You will find my husband.
Okay, but you're gonna sit down in the back of the squad for us, okay?
Can I actually just sit with my children and have water?
Yeah, we can bring your children over.
I would love a glass of water.
Let's go up in this squad over here.
My children out here.
We'll bring them over in a minute. Let me go check you out.
Yeah, we're gonna get it.
Kyle wants to go get you one.
You guys send the dive team over that way then?
Yeah, we're gonna
They're supposed to bring one in over.
Which dock is that so I can tell my dispatch?
That's cluster dock, the center cluster dock.
Center
Or,
cluster.
on the causeway. The causeway center cluster dock.
Causeway Center Cluster Dock. 7940 Central. You said it's the Causeway Center Dock, right?
Causeway center.
Causeway Center Dock. 7940 Central. The mother is advising that her boat is located if you just want to log at the Causeway Center Dock, and that's where she threw the child in the water. She's also now saying that the husband's in the water. If you just want to log that and notify the dive team, the Rangers are heading over that way right now.
But we have to go somewhere where it's not too hard on my knee.
So your knee won't hurt you. Please trust me.
Okay.
It won't hurt you.
Okay.
It won't hurt you. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. God, please show this woman that it is true what I'm telling you. People are doubting. It is getting harder for me to stay strong. Please show her that it is true what I'm telling you. That there is a fish in the bottom of the lake. Please let her take me to sit with my children under the tree that you have created. Please, Lord.
Adlesen.
Do you guys just want to? You guys want to bring her over to that one?
Yeah, we'll take her.
Okay, so we can be closer to the rest of everybody else.
We are. They need to have to first. Here, have a seat right here. We'll go get your children as soon as they're done.
No, I want to go with them.
Right here.
What are the kids saying now?
I don't know if they, because they've asked them if there's a little brother and dad or not. I don't know. That's it. At this point.
The miracles are true. And these we doubted too, but they are true. They are. It's amazing. We can't tell you enough. Do you remember when Jesus was on the cross?
Yeah, I remember.
And he put his arms out and he said, "Forgive them, for they know not
Yeah,
what
you
they
told me
do."
that already.
Yes. They didn't know. They didn't know.
I did. All right.
You are to trust. It's all about trust. It's hard because he does things in mysterious ways.
Sure.
And it's hard because we want to just believe our earthly ways. It is hard. Is part of you happy? Man, is part of you happy? Yes.
Go ahead. That's clear.
This is a very confusing situation for investigators coming upon this and speaking with this woman. You can tell, like, they're being very patient, but they're trying to get to the bottom of what happened here. What did happen here? Let's bring in our think tank. Joining me tonight, former police lieutenant and trial attorney Rick King. Also joining me, criminal defense attorney, former head New Jersey County prosecutor Bob Bianchi, and national parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Okay, Rick, let me start with you. Investigators, police showing up, the ranger, trying to get to the bottom of this. The tone is very unusual for a case where may involve the murder of a child. But it seems like it's taking some time to try to get and peel back the layers here.
Yeah, as I watched this, like my first question was, as they're walking her up from the water and they're talking to her, and there's two guys holding her arms, and I'm wondering, who are those two guys? Because, and I wrote this down because I thought it was significant. She said, I gave them to God. I gave him to God. And then the officer said, you gave him to God. And I thought to myself, that's inviting elaboration. And then she said, yes. And then he said, what do you mean by that? And that's a direct probe designed to elicit information, possibly criminally culpable information about the situation. And I thought, hey, there should be Miranda here. And I'm not sure anything she says following that is even going to come in.
That's interesting. Bob, trying to get to the bottom of this entire situation, because the husband is nowhere to be found, but he's in the water. And trying to, for investigators here who are responding because of the surviving children who were able to get away and then bring law enforcement there, this is a very confusing situation to try to figure out what exactly is going on.
Vinny, been there on actually something almost exactly like this. And this is one of the reasons why I personally, when I ran the prosecutor's office, had our lawyers immediately contacted so they could either get to the scene as quickly as possible or be on the phone with the police. And this is a perfect example of why. Immediately, any lawyer listening to this is thinking about a courtroom, thinking about summation, thinking about the jury charges, and they're looking at diminished capacity or potential insanity, and they want to make sure the cops ask the right questions as soon as possible, like my colleague indicates, before the person invokes, and you don't get that information. So while it's chaotic, they've got to ask questions, goal-oriented behavior. What happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? Because all this goes to the mental state of the individual who's already confessed to having committed a crime.
Dr. Sue, when I'm looking at this the tone of everything that is happening here, this is a very confusing, I believe, for investigators to try to get to the bottom of it. But their tone and the tone of Ruth Miller is what really sticks out to me in this situation, in light of what we know, that there are two bodies in the water.
Exactly, Vinny. And her tone is very, very calm. It's very controlled. It's almost as if she is possibly possessed by something. It looks as though perhaps something's taken her over. But why? What is it? Where's it from? Why was it only the 4-year-old that went into the lake? What was going on with the husband? What was going on with the husband and the child? Why were the other children not involved in this? Her demeanor is so calm, and we often see this in individuals that have mental health problems.
Rick, to me, understanding the husband's role in all of this, right? He's not there. Is he a potential victim here? Or is he perhaps a potential perpetrator here? This is not going to be easy necessarily to figure out.
No. And when you take that and couple it with whether her statements come in or not, because if the husband's on the bottom of the lake along with the young boy, did he take him down there? Is that going to be, would that have potentially be part of what's happening? You don't know, because you don't know what actually happened. And if you lose her statements, is that much more important. Now, I don't know from a strategy perspective, if you want those statements, if you're claiming that she's insane. I don't know. However, that's got to be part of the analysis as you're asking the questions from the law enforcement perspective. You have to know kind of what you're asking and why.
And Bob, the most important witnesses for all this may be the surviving children.
Yeah, absolutely, because one of the things that the psychiatric testimony and the forensic testimony is going to be goal-oriented behavior. That's the term that's used, both before, during, and after. And the children are going to be indicating that she purposefully attempted to harm them as well after the 4-year-old was killed, and of course after the husband was killed as well. And it's that level of continuing conduct that prosecutors are going to argue through the children, which apparently they're going to be testifying that she was doing this intentionally, that she had that goal-oriented behavior, and that's going to be a significant factor in favor of the prosecution. It's not just about whether she's mentally ill. It's a question of whether or not she's legally responsible under the mental health laws of that state.
Let's take a listen to the sheriff here talking about the father.
His clothes off to attempt to swim out to prove his faith and likely drown accidentally.
What are your thoughts about the husband, the father, Dr. Sue?
Look, I think you're going to learn a lot as we continue to see this case develop. I don't know exactly what to think of the father. Perhaps the father went out there to save his son and then drowned, or he was pushed in. I don't know what was going on there. This is all speculation at this time. But, you know, we do know that the mother was harming possibly the other children as well. Where was he in all of this? And I think it brings up all of these questions that we will see unfold as we go through this.
Yeah, and what makes this much different than the Andrea Yates case is that the husband was nowhere to be found and they pointed the finger at him as causing some of the mental problems that Andrea Yates was suffering from. Here, the husband is gone, so he won't necessarily be a part of the trial, but his role significant. Good news, Rick King, Bob Bianchi, Dr. Sue Kornbluth staying with us. When we come back, we'll take a look at what happened in her first appearance in court, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates the shocking shooting death of a Kentucky judge in his own chambers by the local sheriff. Is it connected to the sextortion scandal that has rocked this county? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
She kisses Joy and says, "Sorry, I love you."
Was this an accident or murder?
And that is where the truth begins to get twisted.
The Kiss and Kill murder trial. Trial coverage weekday mornings 8/7 Central on Court TV.
On or about August the 23rd of 2025, here in Tuscarawas County, that the grand jury found that there was probable cause to believe that Ruth R. Miller did purposefully cause the death of a child victim designated as child victim 1, who is under the age of 13 years of age at the time of the commission of the offense.
There is the defendant, Ruth Miller, in court hearing the charge against her. Here are the rest of the charges. So you have, obviously, the aggravated murder of the 4-year-old son, but you also have murder, felonious assault as the lesser included there. Then you've got child endangering of the 15-year-old daughter and 3 counts of domestic violence for the 15-year-old daughter and 2 18-year-old sons. That's when she is driving erratically with the children in the golf cart heading towards the water. Now, take a look. You're going to see her attorney, Ian Friedman, who's a regular guest on this program, enter the official plea for Ruth Miller. Take a listen.
I'm also aware, Ms. Miller, that your attorneys earlier had filed on your behalf, as required by law, if someone intends to do this, a notice of the defendant's plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. I'm going to turn to Attorney Friedman just to confirm that's in fact the plea that should be entered in this case.
That is in fact the plea that we are entering by right at this time.
Okay. And that's what will be done. I will enter a plea then on your behalf of not guilty by reason of insanity.
Well, that was fast. I mean, out of the box, not guilty by reason of insanity is the plea. It seems obvious to all of us, but sometimes in the legal world, things take a little bit longer to develop. Not here. Let me ask you, Dr. Sue, because this is a case where the husband ended up in the water as well. Is it possible that both could be suffering from the same delusion?
I mean, Vinnie, anything is could be happening here, right? They could be both delusional, believed in the same thing, were brainwashed by the same people who took them here. I think what's going to end up happening here is they're going to be claiming something along the lines of religious psychosis, or that she has some form of schizophrenia, where she's having delusions, is hearing voices. Is it possible that both of them were engaged in this kind of, cultish kind of mentality? I just don't know. There's too many unanswered questions here. But I promise you that you will see that that's probably what they're going to be arguing here. And I'm sure that people are thinking this right now. And I don't know if the panel is either. Is she faking what she's doing there, or is it real?
Yeah, Bob, how do you get to the bottom of that? Is she malingering? Is she really suffering from this delusion? I mean, everything we saw that she did in the response here, putting her hands on the officers as they respond, taking a knee with someone else who was trying to help her. How do you get to the bottom of that? And is there a chance that prosecutors could agree that she's not guilty by reason of insanity?
Vinnie, on the case that I was just talking to you about, we agreed it was a not guilty by reason of insanity, but there were reasons why. There was a previous mental health history. Is there one here? There was a previous diagnosis of a known psychiatric illness, which is required under the law before you can avail yourself of this defense. And in my case, there was. And the person did not get their medication that they were supposed to have. They decompensated, and they clearly didn't understand the difference between right or wrong. But I see this case a lot differently here. I see her making admissions. Now, she can be delusional. She can have a mental illness, but that does not a get out of free jail card. You have to show she didn't know the difference between right or wrong. I find her conduct to be manipulative. I hope that they asked more questions to get to that part, whether she knew it was right or wrong. But I do note that she indicates here and makes a very telling statement that's going to go up on a big poster board with the prosecutors. People will tell me that I'm crazy. What she's saying by that is she recognizes that the actions that she did, the thing that she did, would be perceived by others to be crazy, which is an exact opposite of what the insanity defense is, because you can't appreciate the difference between right or wrong, but yet she recognizes it. So she can have all the delusions in the world, all the religious crazy in her head. That's not a get out of jail free card. She makes a number of admissions here. And by the way, the whole husband thing, call me curious. They wrote that off as an accident, not undetermined, yet to be seen. I find it very suspicious, but Vinnie, I'm getting old, so maybe I'm getting a little too suspect of people. Yeah. Nevertheless, it's not a good look for her.
Rick, he's got his closing argument ready, Bob does already, just from that statement that people are going to call me crazy.
I see that Bob and I often are on the other side. He has a prosecutorial edge like somebody else I know, Vinnie. And I look at it from a different perspective, from the defense side, which is why the very first thing that I brought up in this is, do those statements even come in? That's important because just like he said, and I recognize that statement that where she says, people might find me crazy, is suspect. And I get that. But also, don't forget, there's going to be, the state has the opportunity to put her in front of their witnesses, or in front of their experts and doctors to check the veracity of her claim to be insane at the time. So they get their chance to evaluate her as well.
Dr. Sue Kornbluth, how important is it for you to know the history of what was going on in this family and what was happening with these children?
It is extremely important because I think who's ever evaluating her, and I'm sure she's been evaluated many times by now, that they are going to look back into the history to see what her parenting skills were with these children. They're probably going to interview the children as well to get a better understanding of what was going on in this home. How does she discipline? What should she do? Was there abuse going on in here? Did that lead her to become insane? Was there other things going in the house with the husband? Was there domestic violence? What was going on? What led her to do this? Because I'm going to tell you what she's presenting right now on this video is showing the world that she has some kind of mental disorder going on. But as we've seen in other cases, Vinnie, manipulative people can really be manipulative and hide even psychosis sometimes and fake it. And that's where I'm going with this right now. But the evaluators, the forensic evaluators, psychological evaluators, I hope do their job and get to the bottom of this.
Okay, our guests are staying with us when we come back. Catherine McManua has been transferred back to Leon County. Why? Oh, we'll explain when we return.
Were you involved in the death of Dan Markell?
Yes, ma'am.
Did we have it right? Were you the middleman between the shooter and Charlie Adlesen?
Yes, ma'am.
Who solicited you to become involved in this?
Charlie.
Did you testify that essentially we had it right about everyone else, but you were in the dark, you weren't involved in any way?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why then come now with a different story?
I think that the truth needed to come out and the people responsible needed to get arrested.
That's Katie McManua, crucial witness in the case against Donna Adlesen and Charlie Adlesen. She's serving life in prison down in Florida, but is transported back for the trial. So after she testified, she was sent back to her normal residence, I guess you would say. But now we've got some news about her today. And this is big news, potentially. Take a look. We saw this on vinelink.com. Inmate Catherine McManua, custody date September 8th, 2025, transferred to the Leon County Sheriff's Office. She's back in Tallahassee, back in Leon County, something that we confirmed with the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office, confirming that Katie McManua was transferred back to Tallahassee. What else do we know? We know that the grand jury is meeting this week. What does this mean? Let's bring back in our think tank, Rick King, Bob Bianchi, Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Bob, grand jury's meeting this week. They bring back a key witness. Could this be about perhaps Wendy Adlesen?
I believe so, Vinny. I mean, I have to be honest. The prosecutors have put this case together in quite an extraordinary way, and they've done a really, really good job at picking off and strategically going after various defendants. Now, Wendy's already been considered in documents to be a co-conspirator, and when we follow the motive, we follow the money, and we look at the messages, there's really no distance between her and the rest of the defendants, or at least Charles and the mother. And she has given some inconsistent and contradictory statements. I'm just looking at various things and basically said some things that don't make much sense. So why wouldn't they? So the only reason as a prosecutor that I can imagine that they didn't just kick her the heck out of where she is and let her land back in prison where she belongs is that they're utilizing her testimony for the grand jury, because why else would the grand jury be meeting?
Yeah. You're nodding your head, Rick. You're on board with this. This could be bad news. What do you think Wendy Adlesen is doing right now?
Sweating bullets. Because if they got the grand jury and Catherine McManua is headed back there, it's what Bob said, actually. It's about the inconsistencies and the nonsensical testimony that she gave. There are just things that didn't make sense, that don't add up, that the state can present to the grand jury. And I think if I'm Wendy, I'm making sure that I have counsel and I'm getting ready.
Dr. Sue Kornbluth, I want you to take a listen to Wendy Adlesen. This was in her police interview on the day that Dan, the father of her children, her ex, was murdered.
Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, the one, his name's Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. I mean, he would never. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Regardless of who it is.
I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother, but I don't think it was my family. Anyone outside my immediate family, that's a tough one. Okay. But I don't think my immediate family did this, so okay. If it's anybody else, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that this guy, Charlie, would even be capable of doing something like this?
No.
Let's just talk.
He's the Joker.
Dr. Sue Kornbluth, this has confused me from the beginning. The nature of the relationship between brother and sister, daughter and mother, and what she is saying right out of the box to investigators. What do you think?
Well, Vinnie, it doesn't really confuse me at all, because what I see there is she's setting all this up. I've said this about Wendy from the beginning. I think Wendy and her mother are the mastermind of all of this, and that she played the victim from day one when she was talking in there to the police officer. She was setting Charlie up there right away by saying, oh, no, he's just a jokester. He would say these things. And now we've seen throughout this trial that it really wasn't a joke. This actually did happen. There is such a manipulative, sociopathic dynamic between all of these family members. And I agree with my colleagues on this panel. Wendy better get her attorneys lined up and is probably scared to death about what's going to happen, because they're going after her.
Yeah, Bob, prosecutors have used her in the first 4 trials. Let's take a listen to the crucial piece of testimony that's been put in front of the jury time and time again.
Did your brother joke about hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markell?
He did make that joke.
What was the joke specifically?
My brother had bought me a TV as a divorce present, and he would make the joke that the TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
On the morning of the murder, did you have an appointment at your residence on Aqua Ridge?
I did.
What was the nature of that appointment?
I had an appointment with the Geek Squad. There were some vertical lines on the TV. I didn't know if maybe one of my kids had tapped it or touched it, but it wasn't working. And so I had an appointment, and they were scheduled to come sometime between 8 and 12.
Dan Markell was killed between 8 and 12, right?
He was.
That now. Did you ever use the term TV as code for the murder in any context?
No.
Did you ever hear your mom do that, other than the recordings in this case?
No.
So she didn't talk to you about the TV?
No.
Was this a Geek Squad alibi, Bob? And will that be used against her in some way? Now, her testimony can't be used against her, but anything she said in a police interview could be used.
Yeah, no, Vinnie, I'm thinking about, like, what a peculiar situation we got going on here. If you're the defense lawyer, we got a great defense lawyer on this panel, right? That you have to have your client testify because they've been given immunity. But essentially, the prosecutor is saying that you are involved in this and that this is all code. It's all part of the motive, all part of you working together in a co-conspiratorial relationship. So she had to testify because she was given the immunity. But you can't tell me that's not going to whipsaw back on her right now before this grand jury, because that's exactly what they're doing. And they're going to be getting that testimony out through her statement that she gave to the police. So this was like a really unenviable position that the defense lawyer was sitting probably in the courtroom just shaking their head going, oh my, I mean, this spells trouble for my client.
We've got some transport video of Charlie Adlesen, not necessarily coming back to Tallahassee to testify, but he was in Tallahassee for the trial because he was a potential witness. Let me ask you, Rick, is there any chance, and this is a weird video, by the way, is there any chance that Charlie could flip on his sis?
I don't see that. I don't see that.
Look at his eyes. Does he look a little crazy? Could he do it?
Let me say this. I don't think so. However, man, there's just that saying that I don't want to go to jail all by myself. You know what I mean? So it's been known to happen before.
You know, there's this family, and I don't understand it. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, one more big picture question here, because Donna and Charlie have been convicted. How does a family that has everything they could need, everything that they could need, do this and just implode an entire family and destroy the lives of these grandchildren? You know, how does that even become a possibility in a custody battle?
I mean, that's a loaded question, Vinny, but I'm happy to answer it because I deal with this kind of stuff every single day. That's what I do for a living. And in this particular case, when you have a family like this, there is such a sense of entitlement that you can have whatever it is that you want, and you will do anything to get it. And that is what happened here. And the saddest part about all of this is, Vinny, no one in Wendy Adlesen's family was thinking about those kids. They were thinking about themselves.
Thinking about themselves.
And their own needs.
We are out of time. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, Bob Bianchi, Rick King, great to see you. Thanks so much. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Judge Kevin Mullins was shot to death in his chambers by the sheriff. But that was not the only strange thing that happened inside those chambers. What else was going on? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Saturday nights on ION is our night. Let's go! Double headers every Saturday at 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. The new Saturday Night Out is on ION all season long.
Come.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Lucky number 13, there she is, Sarah Boone. Lawyer number 12 has left the building and left Sarah Boone. Her 12th attorney had to withdraw because he accepted a position at the Attorney General's office. So now Sarah Boone will be on to lawyer number 13 at Baker's Dozen. It'll be her third appellate attorney to be appointed. We'll stay on top of it, folks. You know, that just keeps going and going. Take a look at your television screens, please. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Serena Alexander, 17 years old, missing out of Gastonia, North Carolina since the 3rd of September. Here's what you can do. Pick up your phone, make a call, make a difference. If you see Serena, you can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Gastonia Police Department, the Gaston Police Department in North Carolina. That number is on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Serena to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.